This situation just got crazier as Chris Drury has sent a warning to the entire Rangers roster. Multiple New York Rangers have spoken out on the moves and Chris Drury, and we have some very interesting decisions by Peter Laviolette. We're going to break it down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to do yourself a favor, it's free. Hit that subscribe button and you get to stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. Now, lots of interesting tidbits over the last couple days, obviously, with the Kakko trade. And now following that move, a ton of New York Rangers have spoken out on not only that move, but what's been happening recently with Chris Drury sending a very stern message to the roster, which is win or you'll be moved. And if you're not moved, your friends will be moved. So this is a very interesting quote from Vincent Trocheck just yesterday after practice ahead of their game tonight against the Dallas Stars. And he said, I've been in the league for 12 years. I've seen a lot of trades happen. I've been on some really good teams where very few things happen, and I've been on some really bad teams where there's turnover, it seems like every day. Obviously, for Cap and Jake, as people, I love both those guys. You never want to see a friend go, but also, we're losing games right now. Chris Drury has a job. You can't just sit there and let us continue to lose and do nothing. His job is on the line as well. He's doing what he can to put the right guys on the ice and make the right moves that he thinks are going to help us win hockey games. Yeah, it's sad, but at the same time, you've got to win hockey games if you want to keep everyone in this locker room. And I think that is the sentiment that Chris Drury has. It's basically the warning shot that he has sent to the dressing room. Hey, if you guys don't pick it up here, because we know that you have the talent. We saw it last year. You can't luck your way into a President's Trophy, and just losing two guys off the roster isn't going to change things that much. Either you get going here, or you're going to be moved, or your friends are going to be moved. And that's the warning right now. And a lot of people don't really necessarily agree with that. Listen, at the end of the day, it's a business. Chris Drury has to make the New York Rangers a winner, or his job is on the line, like Vincent Trocheck just said. And I really like that quote from Vincent Trocheck because he's telling it like it is, right? We got to pick it up here. At the end of the day, we have to win hockey games. That's a leader's mentality. That's a guy who can lead by example. I picked him, if Jacob Trouba was picked in the traded in the summer, I picked Vincent Trocheck to be the replacement as captain at the time. Again, that didn't happen and now we're here, but very good quote, I think, from Vincent Trocheck. And the message is pretty clear. Let's get going here or guys are going to continue to get moved. And again, just to go over it again, one part I loved specifically is, he's not necessarily defending Chris Drury 100%, but at the same time, he said, Chris Drury has a job to do here. We have to get winning. We have to get going here. And if we don't, guys are going to get traded and things are going to happen that we don't like because things are not going the way that they're supposed to be going. We have to be winning hockey games here. So I do like that he's not complaining. So to me, it looks like, after numerous reports of there being an all players meeting or a players only meeting and them complaining about Chris Drury, it seems like Vincent Trocheck is not one of those guys. And he even elaborated on that. And Vincent Trocheck asked to speak because he said he wanted to clear the air about a report that the New York Rangers had a obviously players only meeting after the loss to the Los Angeles Kings last Saturday. And he said they did have a meeting, but if we're having a closed door meeting with just the players, I think the last thing we're going to do is complain about our general manager. So there could be, again, it was just a bit of speculation earlier this week. There was a report from Steve Dangle that they did have a players only meeting. It sounds like they did, but maybe they weren't complaining about the GM. Maybe they were. And Trocheck's just trying to put out the fires, right? But that's leading by example. And I like that Vincent Trocheck's doing that and he's taking on that mantle right now. That speaks volumes to the type of not only player, but person he is, I think, with this team. And I think Rangers fans would like him to play at a higher level right now. But ever since he's gotten here, he's played at a very high level. This year hasn't gone the way that I don't think him or the team has wanted, but these little things I think go a long way for a team. Taking accountability, the leadership, stuff like that. I like that from Vincent Trocheck. And to elaborate on what the players only meeting was about, Trocheck said, it's about what we can do. Obviously, we're in a little bit of a hole right now, and it's about what we can do to get out of it. And since then, they have certainly not gotten out of it. And he elaborated a little bit more if you want to read the rest or just pause the video and read that. Interesting quote there from Vincent Trocheck. But big game tonight against the Dallas Stars. They have to try and get back on track. And then, of course, Sunday against the Carolina Hurricanes. These are all big games at this point, right? You're well outside the playoffs, on the outside looking in now. So you have to do your best to get back into a playoff position. But In terms of what's happening going forward with the Rangers, obviously Will Borgen was just acquired for Kaapo Kakko, and we have some fallout from the trade as well in terms of players speaking out about the trade, voicing their displeasure. We'll get into that. But first of all, Will Borgen has traveled from Chicago. He is going to play tonight for the New York Rangers against the Dallas Stars. And as for what he'll bring to the New York Rangers, Will Borgen said, "I think I'm a pretty good skating defenseman. I can skate with most guys. And I'm physical. I play with a little bit of an edge, and I try to bring that every night. I try to get some energy for the group." That's exactly what the Rangers need. Now, I don't think Will Borgen's going to turn this season around. It's going to be a collective effort. It has to be a group effort. Everybody has to buy in. We're not seeing too much of that. But the fact that Will Borgen brings that to the lineup, to his game, I think that is a good sign. And I think that's something that hopefully they can build off of that. Hopefully Rempe does something tonight. He's expected to play as well. Hopefully Rempe, mixes it up a little bit here. Although Peter Laviolette did say we'll see when he gets here. There's a chance that he's playing. So it sounds like if he does travel in time, he's able to get maybe a skate in or something. He will factor into the lineup. So hopefully a couple of these guys, new faces just trying to ruffle the feathers a little bit. Dallas just came off of a loss as well against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So there is potential here that the Rangers can get a win here if they do things the right way. If everyone buys in, we haven't seen that, right? But we haven't seen that so far, I should say. Sorry, but Matt Rempe, these energy guys, hopefully they can bring some energy to the lineup tonight. And again, in terms of the trade, because we have Will Borgen coming in, Kaapo Kakko, and this is probably it for Kaapo Kakko, mentioning him on the channel or whatever, unless they play him. But Mika Zibanejad spoke out on the challenges Kaapo Kakko faced while being in New York. And again, second overall pick. A lot of people call him a bust. At the end of the day, I think that the organization had a hand in not developing this player properly, but it is a two-way street at the end of the day. Mika Zibanejad said, "You try to be there, you try to help him out, but it's hard because everyone is different. Everyone deals with it differently. I dealt with it one way because it's my personality." And if you want to pause and read the rest, it was a pretty good quote about how he tried to, help this player along in his development in New York. And a Kaapo Kakko trade, it seemed like, wasn't a surprise for most in that room. Even newly acquired Urho Vakanainen from the Anaheim Ducks, he came out with a quote yesterday. They interviewed him, I think for the first time actually after practice, and he said, "Yeah, I could see it coming." And he's only been here for a week, right, to this point, or maybe a week and a half, I guess. But to that point, to the trade, he said, "Yeah, I could see that coming." That's not necessarily a good sign about what's going on in that room, but it looked like all signs were pointing to Kaapo Kakko getting traded. And again, Filipino, a line mate of Kaapo Kakko's this year for a while, a longtime teammate, or the last couple of years, I should say. When I heard that, it was emotional because I spent so much time with him and we played so much time together, and they played really good minutes together. I should mention that too. They played really, really good hockey together, and he's probably a guy who I played the most with the last 5 years, so it's been tough. So that is tough for Filipino, losing a friend, but I think that's the message Chris Drury is sending right now. Win or you or your friends will be traded. And I mean, it's really hard to perform sometimes when things like that are being hovered over you or hung over you by your boss. But at the same time, they got to get going here. Something needs to be done. Chris Drury's job's on the line as well, so he's trying to get things done. Not saying that's necessarily the best course of action in terms of, panic moves and stuff like that, but I can understand it. And he needs his team to get going here. And K'Andre Miller, quick update, K'Andre Miller has resumed skating back in New York, so it seems like he could be nearing a return as well. And Artemi Panarin are both up in the air Artemi Panarin and Matt Rempe are both up in the air for tonight's game against the Dallas Stars. Artemi Panarin dealing with an upper body injury, and Matt Rempe basically has to get in on time to Dallas. So we'll see how that plays out, but let me know what you think of some of the players speaking out. I love the comments from Vincent Trocheck. I can understand what Chris Drury is trying to do, although I don't know if he's going about it the right way, and the team seems to not be responding the right way to his tactics. But let me know in the comments what you think of that. And hopefully Borgen, Rempe can inject a little bit of energy into the lineup tonight. We'll see how they play against the Dallas Stars. Big weekend coming up. The games do not get easier. The schedule certainly does not get easier for this team. I want to see how they respond. That will tell a lot. That'll tell Rangers fans a lot about this team. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.